What's up, y'all? It's VZ back with another little screen recording, little walkthrough thing. Today, we're going to be talking about the content generator. Okay, this is my own personal lead magnet. I just created this. I've gotten some good feedback from it already, just from the few people I sent it out to. They're really excited about it. So, I'm going to walk y'all through it really quick. First of all, if you don't know who I am, my name is Marvell. I am a personal branding and content strategist. I help entrepreneurs and content creators grow their brand so that they can make more money and get more clients using social media and content. If that's something you're interested in or might be beneficial, make sure you hit the subscribe, all right? But yeah, so the reason I created this because two of the biggest problems that I see creators and entrepreneurs have is lack of consistency with their content and not being able to come up with content ideas or not knowing what content they should create. So I put together the content generator, call it the 555 content generator. I've been seeing my angel numbers a lot lately, so I figured obviously universe be talking and I'll be listening. So I put together content generator, your guide to unlimited content ideas. It's a little intro, a little backstory. Don't worry about that. You ain't gotta read that if you don't want to. But basically, I wanted this to be a really easy to follow guide that helps you. It doesn't just give you content ideas, because that's the other thing I've seen a lot of like coaches where they'll just give you the content ideas. They're like, here's the content you can do for this month. Here's the content you can do for this month. Here's some content ideas you can use, which is cool, but there's a couple problems with that. One is generic. It has to be generic because it needs to be able to cater to everybody in their audience. So it's generic. Two, it's not telling you how to come up with content ideas. It's literally giving them to you. It's not teaching you how to fish. I'm here to teach you how to fish. I want to show you how to think and how to come up with content ideas on your own. All right. So first thing you're going to do is come up with your 5 core topics. Now these sometimes are called content pillars. This is what the majority of your content is based around. If you look at most pages, there's usually about 3 to 5 different topics that they talk about. For me, I am personal branding and content strategist, but I also talk about mindset. I talk about social media. I talk about marketing principles. I talk about content. So I have different core topics that I base all of my content, my brand, my page. It's all based around those topics, right? So you need to come up with your 5 core topics, and these can stay the same or these can change like here and there. Ideally, they should be staying the same. They shouldn't change too much, right? Like you might switch focus. One quarter I might focus on Instagram, another might be focused on TikTok. I might be teaching copywriting this month, next month teaching you about SEO. Like though there can change, but those all fall under the umbrella of content, marketing, social media, stuff like that. So you want to have your 5 core topics, right? Then for each of those 5 core topics, and I'm gonna show you an example in a second. I know this might be hard to visualize, but I'm gonna show you an example in a second. But for each of those 5 core topics, you're gonna come up with 5 subtopics under each one. So if I was doing social media, Instagram, it might be profile optimization, reels, DM strategy, engagement strategy, community building. Like each one of your main topics, there should be plenty of subtopics. And if you can't think of any subtopics, you might have started off too specific with your core topic. If you can't bust it down any further, if you can't think of any different topics to talk about based on your core topic, you might have went too far down. You might need to go back up. So instead of just talking about community building as a core topic, it would be Instagram or social media as a whole. Like, I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm not confusing it. So you got your 5 core topics. And then for each of those 5 core topics, you have 5 subtopics, right? So after that, for each of those subtopics, you're going to create a title. And this would be like, this is your title. It can also be called a hook, but this is what's going to get people to read. This is what's going to get people to click or stop on your reel or whatever. So if you think of like videos where it's like how to come up with a content strategy, top 5 tips for never running out of content ideas, my strategy for creating 90 pieces of content in 10 minutes, like titles that are going to get people engaged. It's going to hook them. It's going to get them in and like make them think. The hook, the title, whatever, it should get people interested. It should get them engaged. It should make them say, oh, I might need that information, or I could use that information, right? And this should be based off you knowing your audience, you knowing what pain points, what problems they're dealing with, issues, what struggles they have. You should know what they're dealing with. And part of your content should be solution-based or solving problems for those issues and the problems that they have. Then, of course, there's going to be like entertaining, motivational, inspirational, stuff like that. But a lot of your core content is going to be based around solving problems for your audience. So you got the titles for each of your subtopics. After that, for each title, you're going to do 5 takeaways. And this is going to be kind of like your outline or your main points. So if I was creating a reel on how to never run out of content ideas, my 5 points might be use YouTube, use Google, watch podcasts, read a book, ask your audience. Like, just off the top of my head, 5 ways to never run out of content ideas. And I say 5 just to kind of like stretch your brain and push you. You might only be able to come up with 3. You might only come up with 2. Like, as long as it makes sense for the content that you're creating, as long as you're not like only giving 2 steps when you should be giving 5, things like that. Like, anyway, facts, tips, tricks, hacks, stories, experience, those are all good. Like, if you have a story that you want to tell, make sure you write out your takeaway or your bullet points for the parts of the stories that you want to make sure you hit. If you're doing tips, it should be the tips that you want to hit. The hacks, if you have experience, like whatever it is, kind of try and break it down to 3, 4, 5 little bullet points that you're going to make sure you're hit, or that's what you're going to talk about, or those are going to be your main points when you're creating your content, right? And then when you do it, when you create your content, you want to create them 5 at a time. You try to create 5 pieces of content minimum at a time. It's called batch creating, and it helps you with creating more content consistently, because a lot of times we'll go into creating content, we'll create one piece and post it. Usually, sometimes day up, we create, I need to post something today, let me go create something, or let me go find a video in my photos to post. Like, what you should be doing instead, what I try to do and what I suggest for my clients is that you set aside a specific time of the week where you're purely focused on creating content. Set aside an hour, 2 hours, and just create content for that time. Like, that's literally what I'm doing right now. I got up at 6 this morning, started recording at 6:45. It's now 8:15. I got about 2 more videos to do that I want to get done. You don't have to do it as many as I do. You can do more, you can do less, but creating multiple pieces of content at a time will help you be able to stay consistent and keep up, as opposed to constantly chasing your tail, trying to figure out what content to post. That makes sense. So after you're done, you should have between 75 to 125 content ideas. If you follow the instructions, you should have about 75 to 125 content ideas, just so you can see exactly like what I'm talking about, right? That's stupid. Anyway, so main topic will be social media. One of my main core topics. Remember, you got the 5 core topics, right? 5 core topics. One of my main topics will be social media. So after that, 5 subtopics for each core topic. So for social media, I wrote down Instagram, content strategy, community. Of course, there will be 2 more if I was building out the whole thing. But just for the example, just focused on those 3, right? So those are my 3 subtopics. So after that, came up with titles for each one of those subtopics. So I got Instagram. So title will be Unlock the 3 Secrets to Skyrocket your IG engagement. Top 5 mistakes killing your Instagram growth. How to turn followers into paying content. Content strategy, how to create a month's worth of content in 1 day. Top 5 content types that drive engagement. How to stay consistent without burning out. There's literally so many you can come up with. And if you need help, you can use tools like ChatGPT, Jasper.ai, Copy.ai that can help you come up with titles and content ideas, what I call content buckets, right? So you got content pillars and then you got your content buckets. There's so many you can do with social media. There's so many you can do: TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, social media culture, comments, engagement, DMs, selling through DM stories. Like, there's so many different like sub pillars you can do. You just got to kind of think and expand and try to push yourself to think of more ideas, right? So what you do is you go through and you fill all these out. You create you can create 75 to 100, 125 content ideas just using these, right? So after you have your titles right, when you get to your titles, after you get your titles, stop. You can stop there, okay? You don't need to go through and do the 5 key takeaways for each one right now, when it's better to get these created, get your brackets created, get all these filled out with all your titles. And then when you go to create it, or like if you're creating on Tuesday, if you're recording all your content on Tuesday, remember if you're gonna record your 5 videos on Tuesday, on Monday or Sunday, you go through and you pick out the 5 titles that you want to use, and then that's when you do your 5 takeaways for each title, right? You don't have to go through and do all the takeaways for every title that you create. I don't want y'all here all day doing this. These are just like to give you the foundation and set you up so that you're ready for when you do create, right? So you get your 5 titles that you're going to work on for that week, or that you're going to create that week. You do your 5 takeaways, then you record them all, you create them all. So that's one part. So I got 5 so there's 5 different sections, one for each of your core topics, then the sections for your subtopics and the titles under that. I only put 3 on here because it was going to be super packed and I would have had to make everything super tiny. If you can't use this, if you don't want to do them on here, you can always use a piece of paper. It works just as well. Or at the end of the guide, I'm actually going to show you an example of a spreadsheet that's based off of this structure right here, right? So that's the first part, the content generator. After that, I got some content tips for being on video, just some things to help you feel more comfortable comfortable. If you're using these to create video content, you're going to be on camera, whether that's on reel, which on a reel with you talking, or on a podcast, whatever it is. If you're going to be on video, these are just some tips to help you feel more comfortable, get a little better. Just some tips and things that I've learned over the years that might be helpful for you when you're creating your content, right? A nice little quote: it's never too late to be who you might have been. It's never too late to change your life. Remember that, all right? And I got a bunch of different ways you can talk about topics, truth bombs, reasons you need it, challenging perspectives. These are going to give you some ideas that you can use for creating your titles, or coming up with different ideas for your different content buckets, your different pillars or whatever. Then I also got some questions that you can use in case of content block. If you can't think of anything, if you're literally just like stuck, use these to kind of like spark you and like get you thinking of like things that will make good content ideas, right? Flashback 5, 10, 20 years. What wisdom would you give your past self? What are some common mistakes your audience might be making? Turn that into a list. 5 common mistakes my audience is making, or you're making as a new homeowner. 5 mistakes you're making with your workout routine. Like there's so many different ways you can come up with content ideas. It's like these are meant to really like spark those and help you pull those ideas that are already inside. You already have the ideas inside. These are just going to help you pull them out. These aren't necessary for you to use to come up with your ideas, but if they help, they're very useful. What's the real cost for your audience if they don't fix their problem? Here's the issue. Here's what happened if you don't fix your credit. Here's what's going to happen if you don't start taking care of your diet, start eating better. So many different ways to come up with content ideas. So these really should give you a literally unlimited content ideas, because there's always going to be like between the 5 core topics, the 5 subtopics, all of these different ways you can talk about content, these questions that help you come up with content ideas. You should literally unlimited content ideas, right? Then I literally give you step-by-steps just for another way to not run out of content ideas. So engaging with your audience, asking them, doing polls, looking at comments, getting feedback, all great ways to get content ideas, especially when people are asking you questions continuously. If different people come to you and they ask the same questions over and over, that lets you know that will be a good piece of content, because a lot of people have this same question. Stay curious, keep learning. Books, podcasts, webinars, courses, challenges. The more quality content you consume, the better content you'll be able to create. Remember, you turn in what you tune into. Garbage in, garbage out. If you put trash in, trash is going to come out. If you put gold in, gold is going to come out. So make sure you're auditing and aware of the content you're consuming, right? Do mind mapping, which is basically another form of mind mapping. The way I did this is you take a topic and then you kind of branch out and expand into like the different areas. So you would start with like the main topic of social media, and I can branch out, go Instagram, to engagement, community, strategy, like all the different branches that you can branch off to. And then once you branch off from there. So I branch off to Instagram from social media. Now I can do DM strategy, engagement strategy, reel strategy, post, carousels. Like there's so many different ways you can talk about a different topic. Anyway, next one's looking outside your bubble. Make sure you're studying the competition. Don't steal their ideas or don't copy their like exact ideas or what they're doing. Use their hooks, their titles, their idea as inspiration for your own topics, for your own tips, your own strategies, your own tactics. Look for any content gaps, things that people aren't talking about. For some reason, like you can't seem to find, or you haven't seen any content with somebody talking about a specific topic or specific problem, things like that. That's great for you to make content about, because if nobody's talking about it, that's you introducing something new to the market, right? And then questions, literally just asking questions, asking your audience what problems they're dealing with, what they want to learn more about, what they want to know, things like that. Those are all great ways to come up with content ideas. And then finally, creating a content bank. So this is a good way to organize, especially if you like this structure and you like being able to do it like this. A way to have that organized and be able to create that system to where you can do it like anywhere, have it like on you at all times, is by creating a table in like Google Sheets. You can do it in Notion and literally breaking it down with those same kind of ideas. So you would start with your main topic here, so you can do all your personal branding here, whatever, all your content, whatever. Start with your main topic in the first column, then your subtopic, then your idea, title, the hook, whatever. That's literally this: main topic, subtopic, ideas, right? So you would have main topic, subtopic, and then you have like 3, 4, or 5 ideas, however many you come up with, and you just keep them organized like that, right? And you keep track of the content type that you want to use it for, whether it's a YouTube or Reel, whatever. And then you can also keep track of the status of where it's at. Are you still brainstorming, or are you coming up with the outline? You recorded it or creating it? Is it ready to be posted? Does editing? Just keeping track of where it is in the process to keep yourself focused and on point, right? Now, don't feel like you need to have, this isn't a necessity. You don't need to have this. You don't need this part, really. This is just meant to help you get into the process or get into the habit of coming up with content ideas. I literally just use my notes app on my phone and my iPhone. I just use the notes app, and I will literally just write my content ideas in there. But that's because I was already thinking of content ideas. So if you have a problem coming up with content ideas, this would be a good place to start. But if this becomes too much to manage or too cumbersome, or if you're not a fan of using this whole system, literally just using the app, your notes app or a note taking app in your phone is a great way to keep track of all your content ideas. Keep track of the pillars or the buckets or anything like that. If you already know what they are, you know these are my pillars, these are my buckets, like these are what I'm creating content about, then you could just be thinking of different content ideas all the time throughout the day, whether that's from watching a podcast, from listening, reading a book, a YouTube video you saw, whatever it is, can spark a content idea. You just add that to your notes. You just continuously add those. And then when you're ready to record, you go through and do the same process. Do your outline or your key takeaways. You record 5, 6, 7, 8 at a time. Knock them all out. And then it's just wash, rinse, and repeat. That makes sense. But yeah, so this guide is very helpful. From what I've been told, people are really liking the guide. They like how the structure of breaking down the topics and the core topics, making that kind of easy to understand. If you want to check this out, send a link. It's down. Go get it. Go download it. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all. If y'all have any questions, if you need help going through it, be sure to reach out. Send me a DM, send me an email, whatever it is. Yeah, that's all I got. I'll see y'all in the next one.